Good evening. My name is Wallace Gator Bradley, and I'm the host of the Bradley Report. We got a very interesting show. We're going to talk about politics, and politics is local as well as national. I'm also the president of United Peace, Inc. The issues were put together for this show by none other than the director and the producer of this show, who happens to be the chairman of United Peace, Inc., none other than my wife, Terry Marsh Bradley. And the technical wherewithal is with the help of my friend, Brother Omari. So without further ado, as you know, I say to God be the glory. And we about to get on with this story. There's a lot of things that's happening. We're hearing about the attack on Pelosi's husband, Paul. A lot of people feel, same as I do, that it's the rhetoric from the big lie and the trumpeters, including Trump, that's pushing fear and violence into politics. From what I understand, and from what I've read and from what I've seen on the news, this guy broke into the speaker's house. She happened to be in Washington, D.C. And he attacked her husband. Brother Omari, could you hit that story for me? Pure hate. In 2010, Republicans launched a Fire Pelosi project, complete with a bus tour, a Fire Pelosi hashtag, and images of House Speaker Nancy Pelosi, Democratic from California, engulfed in Hades-style flames, devoted to retaking the House and demoting Pelosi from her perch as the Speaker. 11 years later, House Minority Leader Kevin McCarthy joked that if he becomes the next leader of the House, it will be hard not to hit Pelosi with the Speaker's gavel. Now, this is the minority leader, Republican. Feed over to the big lie, but this is what he says. He says it would be hard not to hit Pelosi with the Speaker's gavel. Hit a woman in the head with the gavel. This elected official, Republicans talking this, and they talking it, and they pushing it. The same ones that was hiding from the January 6th resurrection or the attack on the state capitol, the United States Capitol. The same Republicans that have been pushing this violence to the point that one of their own were attacked as if that's not a crime. And all those that's behind it, you're aiding and abetting violence. I want to say, I pray that Paul Pelosi, the Speaker's husband, get his health back. I thank God that the officers was there to stop that intruder from really murdering Paul as he waited for Nancy. That's what he said. Where's Nancy? Where's Nancy? And it made one think about the chant that Trump's people was using when they attacked the Capitol. Where's Nancy? We want to kill Nancy. This the attitude, and I'm saying this, America, especially the Democrats, especially the women that lost their rights, especially those that feel that they got the right to love who they want to love. Whether you in the closet, out the closet, whether you are a woman that wants your rights, whether you African Americans that got a right to vote, and they talk about taking your right to vote, whatever you doing, you better come out and vote across this country. You better not let those Republicans get control over the House. It's going to be hell in America if they do. Vote. Vote blue, especially in Illinois. Vote a straight Democratic ticket. Don't get fooled by Charles Thomas or Clarence Thomas. What they call in Charles Thomas, the Willie Lynch. Read the Willie Lynch letter and you see who Charles Thomas is. Don't get fooled by the African Americans. There's a part of the Republican Party telling you don't vote. Vote for J.B. Pritzker to be reelected. Vote for Alexis Giannoulias to be the Secretary of State. Don't worry about the little problem that he and I have. That's going to be rectified. Vote straight Democrat. In the 1st Congressional District, vote for Jonathan Jackson to be the congressman. In the 7th Congressional District, vote for Danny Davis to be the congressman. And in the 2nd Congressional District, vote for Robin Kelly. Vote for every Democrat. We got to get this right. And don't believe the hype or the lie that some people trying to put out. It may be because Kanye West said something, and that might be why the violence is happening. I heard that on the news. I couldn't believe it. Kanye is not responsible. And another thing, after this election is over November 8th, get ready for 2023. Yeah, I'm riding with Lori. Then we got Paul Vallis saying that he want to be mayor. Brother Mari, could you hit this for me? You know, we're going to wait till this little commercial get this thing out about the 4 seasons and all of that. You know what I mean? Okay. But one of the things that's key is we have to keep Lori, the mayor of Chicago. It take an individual 2 terms. It would have took Harold Washington 2 terms. We all hate that he died.
Former Chicago school CEO Paul Vallis making.
Well, here's Paul Vallis. Listen to this for yourself.
This is his new campaign video. He joins us now live to talk about it. You didn't pull many punches in that video, directly calling Mayor Lightfoot incompetent, State Attorney Kim Foxx corrupt. Are you going to stay on the offensive throughout your campaign?
Well, I don't know. I don't know if I call Kim Foxx a corrupt, but I certainly question her competency too.
And do you plan on staying on the offensive throughout your campaign, though?
Oh, yes, absolutely. Look, the city's in crisis. We're in a crime epidemic. The police department has lost 1,500 officers since in the last 18 months, and they've only replaced, I think, 200 of them. As you know, police morale has never been lower. It's clearly a crisis in police leadership. The schools are in a free fall. They've lost 25,000 students the last 2 years. They've lost enrollment now for 18 consecutive years. Yet we have the biggest school budget ever. And then, of course, we are now the highest property tax, sales tax, fee and fine city among large urban, American cities. In the country. So, I mean, what are we getting for all the taxes and fees that we pay? More crime and less school choice. So, yes, I'm I'm in it, and I'm going to continue to be aggressive.
So if you are elected, what will be your first job on day one at City Hall? What's your first goal?
Well, my first job is to focus obviously on public safety, and I can multitask. I can focus on more than one. But my first job will be to replace the leadership at the Chicago Police Department, to return the police department to proactive policing. And I'm not talking about, dispensing with police accountability, but there's no reason why the police can't be more aggressive and can't be focused on arresting people rather than being sidetracked. And obviously returning to the concept of community-based policing, because right now we have communities where maybe half the beats are covered. So I think those three things, and the fact that there would be obviously new leadership in the police department, would help slow the exodus of officers and give us time to make the department more attractive so that we can begin to fill those vacancies.
Okay, let me ask you, you ran in 2018, you didn't make it into the double digits in the vote. Why will this time be different and possibly more successful for you, you think?
Well, there's different dynamics. Every election is unique. I think crime is clearly, the city is having a crime crisis right now. 4 years ago, I don't think the public was as focused on that issue. Clearly, we've had 3 work stoppages at the Chicago Public Schools since the last election. Clearly, the degraded school system, the lack of educational choices on people's minds. And look, they've raised property taxes over $500 million. In the last 2 years alone, the city and the schools combined, not to mention increases in gas taxes, et cetera. So at the end of the day, people are paying much more than they were paying 4 years ago. So I think those are issues that would take me over the top. And look, the city is, I like to think that the taxpayers are looking for a mayor who knows how to run a $28 billion enterprise. And as you know, I've been taking on large institutions that have been failing and that have been financially struggling for the last 20 years. As city budget director, as city school chief in Philadelphia, and as someone who went down to New Orleans to rebuild the New Orleans public school system after Katrina. So I think I'm seasoned and experienced, and I can hit the ground running.
And you mentioned there's a lot of issues here to tackle. Instapoll we ran some weeks ago. Crime seems to be the #1 concern for a lot of people in our city. Paul Vallas, candidate for mayor, thank you. Appreciate your time this morning.
Thanks for having me.
All right, and we do plan to talk with all the candidates as we count down to the election.
You know, I hear Paul, he talking all that talk, but when you look to where he getting his money from, it's from the same ultra-right individuals. The Fraternal Order of Police president endorsed him. The ultra-right racist individuals in full support of him. So you got a Trump-induced candidate that wants to be the mayor of the city of Chicago. You got the Fraternal Order of Police and their leadership. They love Trump, that's for Trump, and there's no shame in their game when they explain why they with Trump. Want to be over the city of Chicago. Y'all remember when they brought those racists in to march against Kim Foxx downtown in front of her office? Okay. Mainly because Kim Foxx was going after corrupt police officers. Friend individuals that were framed by corrupt police officers. The state's attorney's office has been corrupt when Daley was there, when Dick Devine was there, when Anita Alvarez was there. And all these people that's speaking now had nothing to say bad about the corruption and the cover-up of police torture, police murder, police brutality, police misconduct. Chicago don't need a Paul Vallas. We don't need a Trump-influenced candidate. And Willie Wilson is influenced by Trump as well. You'll hear more about that. It's gonna be out. We can't afford to let any Trump-induced candidates be elected to office where they have power and say-so over individuals. They push violence, and they talk about violence in Chicago. They push violence through politics. And we're going to talk about Jesus Garcia that says he wants to run. He's planning to run. They come out with that poll, and we're going to take a look at the poll that he paid for. And he gets in, he wants to run, and he talk about the Black and Brown Coalition. I was back there, instrumental in helping the Black and Brown Coalition for Harold Washington. As soon as Harold died, they left the Black and Brown Coalition. They don't say brown and black. Show me where Jesus, congressman, he'll be a great congressman, but he'll be a poor mayor when it comes to African Americans getting a fair share of jobs, contracts, and resources. He hasn't spoke in over 30 years in support of African Americans getting their fair share. Don't get my food with this change like he coming with a horse to make equity the truth. The only one that's really concerned about making things fair for everyone is Mayor Lori Lightfoot. Should we get in there? The money that's going to the South and West Side for Black and Brown citizens within the city of Chicago is definitely going to dry up for African Americans. I'm not biting my tongue. We don't have no time to waste. You have to have 2 terms in order to really do for the citizens of Chicago. The first term, when you get in there, you just finding out what is happening in the mayor's office. African Americans never knew that they were getting the fair share of resources from City Hall to the tune of hundreds of millions of dollars. That's what Lori has spent in the African American and the Latino community. By the end of this year, it may be almost to the tune of $2 billion. We didn't know what all was up there when Daley was the mayor. We didn't know, talking about the people, we didn't know what was up there when Ron was the mayor. And our elected officials, I'm not knocking them, it's constructive criticism. Evidently, they wasn't aware of the money that was there. And that's what that's when Lori brought it out. What the resources, the infrastructure, the streets being done, bringing new businesses, supporting African American businesses, like she's supporting the businesses downtown, like she's supporting the businesses and stuff in the communities on the north side. Everybody wanted change And the people came out and they voted for change. And they sent someone in office who wasn't fully aware of all the things that was in the mayor's office. And when she found out, she came and helped him. People, regardless of your race, regardless of your gender, whether you stay on the north side, on the east side, on the south side, or the west side, re-elect Mayor Lori Lightfoot in 2023. Don't get fooled. Brandon, you got a right to run. Sawyer, you got a right to run. Ms. King, you got a right to run. Everybody got a right to run. But people, just check all of their LinkedIn and their resumes. Because they'll come back if you elect any one of them. Outside of Lori, they're going to come back 4 years later saying they need another term. So that'll push us 4 years behind. If you've never been in the office of the mayor, you definitely don't know what to do when you become the mayor, because you don't know what's all in the office of the mayor. So all that I'm saying, November the 8th, I already voted. I voted for J.B. Pritzker. I voted for Alexis Giannoulias. I voted for straight Democratic ticket. The retention of the judges. And I voted for the workers' rights. Then I went and got my cousin, Jerry Rooks. We went down there, and he voted early. And when you see the numbers of people that voted early around this country, you know that this election is serious. Serious. And if the Republicans get in power, them Trump Republicans get in power, America is in real serious trouble. Because then you will have a real corrupt bully within government that do not feel that the laws apply to them. That's bad. That's bad. So people, you don't have to grab no gun. All you got to do is go in there and vote and make sure they don't get in that office so that this country can get back on track with a real two-party peace, a Democratic Party and a Republican Party that's concerned about the betterment of Americans. We're in dire straits. When we went to Mari, I like to see if I can pull that piece up about the poll that Jesus Garcia did. You know? Because I'm about to cut it off now. Before we go on, I want to say this. There's been a lot of violence in the city of Chicago. There was 14 shootings yesterday on one corner. I believe it was on the west side. I believe the people was having a prayer vigil to put up balloons over a family member that had deceased. He wasn't in a gang. There wasn't no gang shooting. There wasn't no drive-by. I don't believe in none of that. And they had little children out there. 3-year-old out there. Somebody come by in the car, sprayed them. Mayor, Lori Lightfoot in a security detail, riding through the city of Chicago, stumbled upon a robbery that was about to happen. In a security detail, from what I'm reading and from what I hear on the news, got into like a little shootout with the suspect. Elected officials, they on high tendency alert behind what happened to Pelosi. Hate begets hate. Stories in the Time magazine, because of what happened with Kanye and what he said, has exposed the dark history of Adidas. I want to publicly say this. Truth will be told, because it's a matter of record. I want to publicly say this. I am of the opinion and belief that the Jewish Holocaust happened. I am of the opinion and belief that slavery happened. That's the Black Holocaust. The whole world stood by when Hitler was doing what he did to the Jews. Yet they was able to get reparations. When I read that Time story about Kanye and his breakup with Adidas, and they had other stories, offshoots from that story, and I said to myself, whoa, here's a blueprint for African Americans to get their reparations, just like the Jewish people got their reparations because of the atrocities of Germany and the Nazis. So African Americans, we've been talking about reparations, talking about we didn't know how to get it. It's right there. Use their blueprint. So I want to say this. Hate begets hate. The only alternative to that is to love, honor, and respect one another. Respect their opinions, tolerate their opinions, because they got to respect yours and tolerate yours. And I want to say this. Lessons from mistakes are to be lessons learned so you don't make mistakes. But hate, regardless of where it's coming from, dilutes the truth like America Trumpeteers, pushing that lie and that narrative, talking election was stolen. So I want to say, vote